Welcome once again to the Ruthless Aggression Era podcast, the only place where we decipher and dictate the era that rose out of the ashes of Attitude and went on to be known as Ruthless Aggression. As always, I'm your host Dave. So on the last bonus episode, we took a look at Velocity, which was SmackDown's C show, which was the day before No Way Out 2003. What we're going to do this time is take a look at Raw's, and that at the time was Sunday Night Heat. Now, the show was originally introduced on the USA Network back in 1998. The show, would you believe it, was broadcast on Sunday nights. It was the second primary programme on WWF's weekly television show lineup. It kind of served as the supplement to Monday Night Raw, where the storylines would continue throughout Heat and they'd promote the following Monday Night Raw. It would also serve as a preview show to all the pay-per-views. It was what is now known as obviously your pre-shows. Obviously now with your pre-shows you get an hour of your Renee Youngs and your Booker T's and Jerry Lawlers, etc. Trying to get you just to buy the network, get you to take the free trial. Back then with Sunday Night Heat, they used Sunday Night Heat as the 1 hour pre-show. If you got a match, or maybe sometimes you may have got a couple of matches, depending on how big the pay-per-view was. But the format is exactly the same as what they use today of buy the pay-per-view. It was back then, obviously, it was ring this number, order the pay-per-view, get it now, your time's running out, you don't want to miss the event. Now, Sunday Night Heat, it was when it was first broadcast, it was only originally signed for 6 episodes, but became very popular because I think at the time fans were craving for additional, which is quite ironic to be thinking what it is now, where I think personally there's far too much WWE product out there. It's hard to stay as committed as you once were and as invested in certain characters when there's just too much wrestling on TV available, but that's what the network's all about, I suppose. But back then I think people craved for a bit more, especially in 1998 when we were getting close to the peak of the attitude and the hypeness within WWE. It was cool to be a WWE fan. So Sunday Night Heat, it was perfect for people to get that additional kick. And I know for me, obviously back in UK, as we've discussed before, Sunday Night Heat was on Channel 4, which was a free to air. So if you had a TV in the UK it was about 99, 2000, I'd say more 2000, 2001, it came in the UK. But if you had a TV, you had access to WWE programming for free. You didn't need to have satellite TV, you didn't have cable. So I can guarantee if you were a wrestling fan in the UK back then, you would have watched Sunday Night Heat, and it became massively popular. But unfortunately, everything runs its course. I think 2008 was around the time that Sunday Night Heat was finally cancelled, but it did spend like the last 3 years on WWE.com over in America. But in the UK, it still aired, and it aired all the way up to its closure. Now, the Sunday Night Heat episode, which is on the same week as Velocity, that was exactly what I mentioned a bit ago, where that was just more like a heavily pay-per-view pre-show. That had one match, which was Rey Mysterio against Jamie Noble, which we'll cover that in a lot more detail on the No Way Out pay-per-view. But on this episode, I'm going to go back a week before, and I'm going to take a look at the episode of Sunday Night Heat was recorded from the good old Staples Center. It was taped on the 10th of February, but it aired on the 16th, which was 7 days before the No Way Out pay-per-view. Beginning of the show, we get the same Curt Hennig image that we've seen the last couple of episodes of Raw and SmackDown. Obviously, unfortunately, like me and Christian have discussed, we lost Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig during this period. We get a little video clip of the Bischoff and JR incident, of all the situation and the storyline of getting Steve Austin back. And then we get shit ton of pyro, as per usual. And then, Jesus Christ, the commentary team is Lita and Coach. Now, I tried to come into this a bit blind. Now, as I've mentioned, I was a solid Heat watcher when it was probably 1998 onwards, really, because it was available, and then it got made obviously available free onto Channel 4, as I've discussed. But on I'd say 2003, I wasn't as hardcore as watcher of Heat, but I can remember Coach and Lita. This should be fun. Obviously on Velocity we had Josh Matthews trying to sell you your products every couple of minutes, and then you had the Cat with his pre-recorded on the little stills of the match cards. But Lita and the Coach, I'm not looking forward to this. Coach and Lita, they discussed the fallout from Raw as Christopher Nowinski makes his way down to the ring for our opening match, which is Christopher Nowinski versus Spike Dudley, which is not bad, I suppose. Spike, he starts in control, then Nowinski takes over as the crowd, they start chanting Harvard sucks, which for some reason that kind of helps Spike regain control. It's like he hulked up to an extent with the Harvard sucks chants. And for the shock winning of quite a very slow and short match, Spike Dudley, he gets the 1-2-3 with the Dudley dog. So we are seeing now, obviously, the slow and steady decline of Christopher Nowinski. As we mentioned, we don't live in that era, unfortunately, in 2003, where concussions are looked into that much. But the incident at the Rumble with Rey Mysterio on Edge, that's having a massive effect on Nowinski. And as it's probably showing within the booking, he's just not the wrestler, and it showed in the match. He's just not the wrestler guy he was. And unfortunately, that's obviously because of what happened with him at the Rumble. And then guess what? It's time to sell some products, this time starring Jonathan Coachman and Amy Leah Dumas.
Folks, tonight, Sunday Night Heat is brought to you by Stacker 2, the world's strongest fat burner. Now available in Stacker 2 Offender Free and Stacker 2 Light.
And also coached by Castrol GTX. You know, it is the motor oil as advanced as your engine.
Now you flirt with me. And my 1-800-CALL ATT. It's free for you and cheap for them.
So Coach, he tries to flog us some Stacker 2, that good old back burner. Leah, she comes at you with some castor oil. And then Coach is back again with the 1-800-CALL collect service. Oh, WWE. And they must have about 64 billion sponsors at this period of time. We had about 100 on fucking Velocity, and now we've got more again. And we're only 5-10 minutes into Sunday Night Heat, and boom, buy some stuff. And I need to add as well, before Coach and Leah tried to start selling loads of products, we had an advert break, and the first commercial was, it was like this, what you get off like a porn channel, with some woman who would like say there's women in your area, in like a sexy, seductive voice. But unfortunately, she wasn't selling women, she was selling WWE live events.
It's the most exciting brand in sports entertainment. Live. Poughkeepsie, New York, tomorrow night. Albany, New York, this Tuesday. Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, this Saturday. Regina, Saskatchewan, next Sunday. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, next Monday. Experience the SmackDown brand of World Wrestling Entertainment, live.
We come back to Coach and he says later in the night there's going to be an exclusive news from Raw, not yet seen by anyone, concerning D'Lo Brown and Theodore Long, fugging and bugging. Plus, the main event will be Regal and Storm versus Maven and Al Snow for the WWE Tag Titles. It's not bad if you think on comparison to what I looked at Velocity, where that main event was the Tag Titles. I know it's obviously a different kettle of fish, different caliber of wrestler with the Guerreros and Team Angle, but you're getting tag team titles. Obviously, this is for the titles. On Velocity, it was a non-title, so yeah, not bad. Next match is Steven Richards versus Aaron Aguilera. Now, this Aaron dude, it's fucking Jesus. He's the guy who jumped in that time machine. Spoiler alert, it's the guy that stabbed Cena. Richards, he comes out wearing bright pink tights with a face on him, which are a bit odd. And basically, Lita and Coach, they spend majority of the match discussing his tights, because the match it's not very much to brag about. Lita, she says that this Aguilera guy, he's one of the conquistadors from the old Edge and Christian versus Hardy Boys feud. Basically, Coach, he kind of marked out on this. He got all giddy and excited. End of the match, it comes where Stevie hits the Stevie T and covers for the 3 count. Then we get an update on Goldust. Coach says that he suffered second-degree burns and temporary paralysis, as well as kidney troubles. Fucking Evolution kicked crap out of him. And then they flash back to Raw, where Booker T was angry about Batista, what Batista and Orton did to Goldust, when he attacked Batista, but only to get destroyed by all 4 members of Evolution until being saved by Scott Steiner. And then we get our Starburst rewind. Oh, they're here again. This is Jazz destroying Trish on Raw 3 weeks ago. It's good to see Jazz back in WWE. I did like Jazz in her first run. I'm just hoping they did take her a bit more serious this time, because Jazz, she's dominant. She's massive. She was like the China of ECW. And I hope they use her that way. And then we get a women's title match. It's Victoria with Steven Richards versus Jacqueline. The match starts with Victoria pushing Jacqueline down, leading to a little brawl. Later in the match, Victoria, she gets dumped outside, and she dived from the top rope onto Victoria and Steve Richards, was pretty cool. They get back in the ring, they battle it out a little bit more, toing and throwing. It was nothing really much to report. Victoria, she hits a finisher for the 3 count. It was what you kind of expected. Jacqueline, she's in that jobber role at the minute. And I think that's it now for Jacqueline, really. You're not going to see anything Jacqueline close to what she were in 99, 98. It's a different era of time now. Coach and Lita, they talk about breaking news regarding D'Lo and Theodore Long after D'Lo's match with Booker T on Raw. It shows them in the parking lot. Long is loading his luggage into the car, closes the trunk before D'Lo can load his bags. D'Lo asks what's going on, and Teddy says, "You really let me down," losing to that sellout Booker T. And then Red Dog, who we've seen as buddy on SmackDown, he jumps D'Lo from behind. They don't call him Red Dog though, call him Rodney Mack, as we discussed when we covered Raw and SmackDowns. He's now left SmackDown. He's now on Monday Night Raw, with, going as Rodney Mack, thugging and bugging Enterprises. Rodney Mack then proceeded to slam D'Lo pretty good a couple of times into the door of the car, left him lying there as him and Teddy drove away, and basically it just proves the online reports at the time that were right, that Red Dog, he jumped to Raw from SmackDown to be with his wife Jazz, who he's still with to this day. And then we get a segment from Raw with Vince firing Bischoff, singing to him, saying the na-na-nas, calling out the new GM. Ross then came out saying Austin will be at No Way Out and he'll face Bischoff at the pay-per-view. All of that, it took about 20 minutes. It was a massive part of the Sunday Night Heat show. It was one of them things that if you'd not seen it, it helped make sense of little things. But I suppose for a lot of people that had seen Raw and do watch Raw religiously and Sunday Night Heat, it was like, it took away a lot of this episode of Sunday Night Heat, just covering the whole Bischoff, Raw, Austin, JR bollocks that's going on, which hopefully will culminate at No Way Out with Austin kicking the crap out of Bischoff. So for one, I'm looking forward to that, to be fair. And we then get our Stacker 2 burn of the night. Oh, they are loving this Stacker. I wonder how much that they are spending on sponsorship, this Stacker, because it's Stacker heavy, is the WBC shows. And it's Rob Van Dam and Kane beating 3-minute warning from Raw. They come back and Coach says that a huge story first heard on Sunday Night Heat is that Rob Van Dam and Kane will face Regal and Storm for the tag titles at No Way Out. And on that note, it is time for the main event. Which was a decent match. As I said, it's William Regal and Lance Storm defending the tag titles against Al Snow and Maven. Now, the issue that I kind of had that was before the match started, Coach, now the commentary, I said at the start, I was a bit concerned, but apart from their flogging merchandise, we've had no pre-recorded segments or anything like that. It's been all right. Lita, she's been okay. She's kind of done what she needed to do. She called a few spots. But before the match started, they announced that at No Way Out, Rob Van Dam and Kane will face Regal and Storm for tag titles. So, not once did they mention that, well, they might not if Al Snow and Maven win this. Kind of gives it away before the match starts. But yeah, it's a decent match. A lot of technical wrestling from Storm and Regal, what you'd expect. These guys, as I've said throughout this whole podcast that we've done so far, two of my favourites, and together as a tag team, it is that ground and pound technical style wrestling that I do enjoy. Maven, he showed some good moves, but he couldn't really get past any double team by Regal and Storm. Al Snow didn't figure at all in this match, really. Regal and Storm end up winning it, as you could expect, and they close out this episode of Sunday Night Heat as your reigning, conquering, still waving that un-American flag, tag team champions of the Raw brand. Overall, I'd say very average. On comparison to Velocity, I think Velocity, they had a bit more standard of quality, obviously with Team Angle and the Guerreros. But yeah, you had your tag team titles on the line. Again, I think it was stupid how they booked the show with and promoting the title match. I don't know why they couldn't have announced that on the following Raw. Put a little bit more of importance into could Al Snow and Maven pull off the upset and win the titles. But yeah, apart from that, they spent a hell of a lot of time promoting the current storyline with Austin, which, to be fair, it is quite a big storyline. But I can't see me coming back for a while. Velocity was a lot better. But maybe we'll see. We'll give it a couple of months and maybe we'll come back to Sunday Night and we'll see how it was going on. But guys, thank you as always for downloading all these bonus episodes. As I say, on the main channel, as I said, on Velocity coming next on the pay-per-view on the timeline, it will be No Way Out and it will be the return of Austin. And let's see, and as I say, we'll touch on the Sunday Night Heat, which was the pre-show before with Rey Mysterio against Jamie Noble, which I can't wait to hear Kristen and Mike's opinions, because someone like Jamie Noble, who I've always been a fan of, and Rey Mysterio, who has had a pretty good first year in the WWE, to be on Sunday Night Heat, I'm not so happy. But guys, thank you ever so much as always. I've been Dave, and you know where to find us, Facebook and Twitter, REERApodcast.com. Until next time, peace.